Okay, I didn't have the loop turned on. Alright, well, let's get this show on the road. I'm going to go ahead and turn the music off. And everything should be set up. Okay. I'm experimenting with a new setup here. We've got this camera here, which is my 922, which that looks way better than this camera. And this is the Brio, which is a 4K camera, and it looks kind of blurry to me. So, I mean, it looks good on the stream. I mean, on the on my software, but when I look at the stream over here, because I've got the stream up as well, it looks kind of blurry. So I don't know, this 920 is performing way better than the Brio. I'm upset about that. The Brio is like twice the cost of the 920. I might leave, well, plus it also has to do with how I've got it plugged up as well. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, why is it? Why does that look so blurry? Looks washed out and blurry and doesn't even look like the way the stream is. Okay, well, I guess we're just going to have to live with it. Well, I'm going to experiment, but for next Wednesday, I'm yelling at you guys. I'm sorry about that as well. But I don't know how well this microphone's picking up the stream. If I even have it turned on, I do. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty high. I'm probably peaking, so let me bring this down just a tad. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, so what I've got set up for us today is I've got a full day set aside for me. We're not going to stay on the stream forever, of course. I only like to stay on the stream for a couple hours. Anything more than that, and I start to twitch out. So, so what we're going to work on today is I've got a couple of things. I've got. Okay, if you could see, where's my, there you go. We've got some Lancers right there. And then I've got some Germanic, what are these, Hesse Castles? What do they call them? Yeah, Hesse Castle Regiment Prince. Okay, so the Lancers that I've got right up here are also these guys right here. I've got them, I finished them last night, but I based them. Now what I need to do is work on texturing the base. And we're going to do that on camera today as we just chit-chat. And, you know, every Wednesday we like to just chit-chat and talk about things that are revolving around gaming, but also revolving around the projects that I'm working on, plus future projects, and basically we just shoot right? Okay. Now the Hesse Castle troops that I don't even know where my hammer. Those guys are. I ordered some Germanic front rank troops as well, and we're gonna be cleaning them and mounting them on popsicle sticks. I'll probably be priming them, but I don't think we'll start painting them. We're going to talk about their flag. We're going to talk about their uniform a little bit, because I have my own personal philosophy about that, about their uniform. We're going to talk about these front rank Cheval Liger Lancers, right? And my basing technique, or texturing technique, and Oh yeah, and one more thing. I got some bases in for my limbers, and I'm gonna have to admit I bought those on Amazon. They are not your traditional wargaming bases. They are wood planks for making nameplates. But I'll show you. I'll open the pack because I haven't actually opened the pack, and we're going to take a look at those as well. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is swap out these glasses. I don't know if you know anything about me personally, but my eyes are not 100%, right? I can wear very weak glasses for everyday functions. You know, I could do everything with these glasses. I think they're like 1.5s or something like that. They're really, really weak. But these guys right here, these are 4.0s. You might be able to see on the stream how much of a magnification they are. You know, that Mass Effect you could probably read through these glasses, right? Well, I wear these whenever I want to do something up close like this, and I want it magnified. So I don't wear these around the house because my eyes will just go crazy. But when I'm modeling or painting these figures, I throw these glasses on. My wife bought me one of those desk magnets that you can desk magnifiers, which has like a light built into it and an arm, and you can like bring it around and you can look through it and paint underneath or read or whatever you want to do underneath it. The issue that I have with that is with the magnet here, I keep saying magnet, sorry, with the magnifying glass here and the model underneath, it throws off my depth perception or whatever, and I tend to not understand what I'm doing. I have what the hell? Okay. All right, so now I use these cracker boxes. I use a lot of these cracker boxes as droplets. No, as as catch-alls, basically. All right, so what we do is we take some. Okay, my mixture right here. This is a fine ballast from Woodland Scenics, brown. All right, I just go with the brown mixture, and then I mixed in some talus rocks in there, and let's mix that up just a little. There we go. Take some white PVA. I know our British allies across the pond call this PVA, right? Which is probably the chemical term for it. But I call it by the brand name. I call it Elmer's. I mean, that's pretty much the only PVA brand around. I mean, there is this Aleene's tacky glue. Aleene's is like, if you could imagine like a super thick, sticky PVA, where this standard PVA or Elmer's glue is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Thin, it's kind of like almost pre-watered. I don't see anywhere on here where it says like chemical composition is PVA. It's non-toxic. It conforms to ASTM. Made in the USA. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put some of that in my paint palette, believe it or not. And then I use this is a Tester's nylon brush. And we're going to go full strength on this. I know, right? Okay, couple of things. These are all front rank. I bought this as and I just got it in the other day. You probably saw it on my last video. Actually, I think it was last Wednesday I got these in while I was showing off my table. Right there at the end of the video, I think is when the mailman got here. But there's a few issues that I have with this pack. The lances they give you, okay, are their standard metal rods. They must get those bulk or something. But they make these, they include these metal rods, which are like titanium or something, stainless steel. They're like super durable and super strong, and they don't want to bend, and they don't want to cut with a standard metal clipper. You got to get some kind of adamantium or something to cut these guys, or some unobtainium. So you got to cut them down to length. But I don't like using those rods for anything, for any kind of spear, because they don't have a point. They don't have a spear tip at the end. And if you want spear tips, you got to order those separately, right? You got to order their, they call them pennons, because not only do they include the spear tip, but they also include the flag as part of the lancer tip. I would think they should just go ahead and include it in the package, but they don't. And I don't like. Same thing with their. Standards for the units. Like you can order a Hanover or British or French unit, and you'll get those steel rods as your standards, but there's no spear tip or guidon top or eagle or anything at the top. All of that you would have to order separately. But they do include those steel tips. Now, because I almost never use them, I'm almost always using the brass spears that I get from Warlord Games. You know, the 50 or 90 millimeter pikes or spears. I just go ahead and use those because they have spear tips. And okay, so everything's covered except for maybe that spot. Now I don't shake it all off. I leave it to soak into the glue. Okay, wait, we got a comment. We got William. He says, will you be doing future 148 tactic stuff? British Airborne should be coming out. The answer to that is absolutely not. 148 Tactic is pretty fun. I enjoyed the game, but I felt like it was too much like a game. I don't know if you understand what I mean by that, but I'm not into. I guess it was too small scale. Maybe that's my problem. What it did was it made each individual soldier kind of like unique and special, which I'm against. I disagree with every soldier being unique and special. I'm not a snowflake. Everyone in my war games, I want to be similar. Now, do I want there to be exceptional characters, like heroic characters? Yes. But I don't want everyone in my squad to be a heroic character. I don't feel like that's realistic. Personally, I feel there should be like a standard troop, and then sprinkle in unique guys. But that's not why I didn't like that game. That game, I do like that game. I do like that game. I just feel like there are other games out there that I enjoy more. Plus, I didn't like the fact that it was in 1/48 scale. I know I could play it in 28 millimeter. I could play 1/48 tactic in 28 millimeter. I could just get like some, like you say, some British Airborne or whatever, and then move on and say that's pretty good and everything, and then just use the card system and go. But I don't know. I think how do I say this? They make good models. Their models are outstanding. Their terrain, top notch, right? Their modeling is exceptional. The game rules, I don't know. But one thing I didn't like, and it put a sour taste in my mouth, was the first infantry division. I did a Kickstarter for them, right? I backed their first infantry division card set, which they went with a booster pack system where you get random cards in a booster pack, which I thought was kind of stupid. I thought that was a dumb way to do it. And then I was like, okay, well, but I'll bite the bullet. I'll do the Kickstarter. I'll get all the booster packs or whatever. And it's not true. What you get is a random selection of booster packs. You get a random selection of like troop soldiers, equipment, and stuff like that in the booster packs. And I thought that was kind of a dumb way to do it. I don't know. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll do it anyway because I want to get the first infantry, and I want to do that, and maybe it'll be cooler than I think or whatever. But when I got them, I realized that I paid, and the quality of the cards were just kind of mediocre. There wasn't anything super special about them. Not like the Robotech cards. The Robotech cards are really good, but that game didn't catch on, But these cards were like, quality level were kind of mediocre, and I was like, okay, whatever. But then the cost per card was more than I was willing to pay. I'd paid through the Kickstarter, which you would think that by going through the Kickstarter, you would get it at maybe half price, because you're back in the project, you're allowing them to do this. You should get some kind of discount. When I'm paying more than $1 per card, I feel like that's just unrealistic. It was just... And so what I did was, I don't know if you know this, but I sold every little piece that I had for 1/48 tactic. Terrain, sold it all. all the 101st and the 26 Volksgrenadiers that I had painted up, they're all sold. I even bought a Tamiya, which I have on the shelf right over there. I bought a Tamiya 148 scale tactic Panzer Grenadier box in anticipation of like customizing a bunch of Panzer Grenadiers and then using them in the game. Never did it. Because right when I started getting those the 101st, when I started getting the 1st Division in, and I realized that I was dissatisfied with the game, I should say. I played it a few times with Mason. He's one of my friends. And I realized the painting, the reading, and all that was more fun than sitting and actual playing at the table. Because he and we sat there and we played a couple of games and we did like our own personal, I think I've got it on video actually. We did like a little personal after action discussion, and you know, he put up some arguments of like why he thought Bolt Action was a better game, and then I kind of like listened to him and put up my arguments of why I thought 48 Tactic was going to be a good game once they released like crew served weapons and armored vehicles and stuff like that. But then, you know, we kind of just sat there and I molded over afterwards, and I was like, you know what? It just isn't there. It just isn't. And it won't be, because the game's not designed for armored vehicles or crew served weapons. It's designed for like a 5-man team, not even a full squad, not even a 10-man or a 12-man squad. It's designed for a 5-man commando group to go in and take out, you know, like the general out of a chateau or something like that. That's what that game is designed for, in my opinion. It's not designed for me to take a platoon of 30 guys and assault a bridge. It's not made for that, right? So, but Bolt Action is definitely made for that. And I didn't want to, but it's still man-to-man. And everybody is kind of on the same playing field. You know, you don't have every single man in the game has some different ability. And that's kind of, that took away from the game for me, is the heroic nature of the individual, because that's not the kind of game that I was wanting to play. And it's not that the game's a bad game. The game is actually a great game. It's very fun. It's just that it wasn't the kind of thing that I want to play. Sorry, that answer went on for like a half an hour, and I apologize to everybody, but that's okay. Am I going to look at the British guys when they come out or any? No, I'm not even going to bother. I've kind of pretty much tuned out. Okay, so we got all these guys with their I call gravel, but really it's like the base ground covering. That's going to take a minute to dry. So there's a few things I want to talk to you about this unit before we move on to something a little different. And just so you know, I'm drinking Radical. Okay, where's a good camera? Right there. Radical Skedaddle. Or maybe you can see it better over there. It's Bang Radical Skedaddle. But 0 calories per can. 0 carbs, 0 sugars, 0 calories, 0 artificial colors. This is an energy drink with no sugar. But I will say that I've fallen in love with the Bang product. Well, first of all, it's got a crosshair on the thing, but no, and then you can see like a bullet. Brain and body fuel. Yeah, Bang, if you're watching, sponsor me. Yeah, because those energy drinks are awesome. They're better than Monster in my opinion. I like Monster. Monster's got a lot. I've got a few Monsters over there. Monster's got some really good flavors. Plus, there's this other brand out there called 3D. I think they're a really good brand as well. But Bang, I've fallen in love with Bang. Bang is just awesome. Okay, so those are going to dry. Now, it's going to take a second for those to dry because the gravel is covering the glue, right? The glue is not really exposed to the air as much as it would be if I shook everything off. The problem with shaking everything off is the only gravel that will stick would be the gravel sitting on the surface of the glue, which only the surface tension will stick to the glue, and then it'll be a very thin coat of gravel. And I want there to be a complete coat of gravel. So the gravel, the glue will have gravel sitting on the top, but it'll gradually soak into the glue, and plus it'll adhere better because it's inside the glue and not necessarily just resting on top of the glue. Plus, when it sinks, the next layer of gravel will stick and it'll just make it thicker. Okay, great. I've talked about that in the past. Okay, let's talk about these figures. Front rank. I'm a little upset with you guys. And it's not because of this, it's not because of the spear guide and pennant thing, even though that is part of it. They include two guys, and I've got them right here, two guys that are part of the elite company of any of the squadrons. Now, doing my research, I realized that in any of the squadrons, you had a center company, or two center companies, or a center company and a elite company. So you would think that you would get half of your models would be elite company and the other half would be the center company, or they would all be center company. So there could be, if you're listening to this front rank, and I might send them an email to give them a little piece of my mind, basically just suggestion. Make a pack that is half elite company, or at least 3 or 6 elite company, and then, or at least three of them elite company, or a pack with no elite company. And so, because there were some squadrons out there that were just 2 center companies, and then there were some squadrons that were 2 elite companies, or an elite company and a center. Okay, having said that, I was like excited to get some elite company, and 2 of them. I was happy with that. I looked at the musician, okay, and this is another thing. The musician was or is either from the elite company or the line company. If they're from the elite company, they should have epaulets. And if they're from the line company, they should have what do they call it? A scapsa? It's basically what the Polish Lancer hat would look like. You know, the it goes up and there's like it's like a square hat or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So so with this guy not having the epaulets, he should have the capska or whatever it's called. But because he's got the Lancer fur hat the helmet with the fur, then he should be an elite company with epaulets, and he doesn't have it. So there's a mix-up there. No epaulets, and the hat are not proper, not correct. Okay, the officer should not have 2 epaulets. He should only have 1, and then a flat collar on, you know, a normal lapel epaulet on the side. Where on this other side, he should have the golden, you know, epaulet. But he has 2. That makes him a higher ranking officer. That makes him probably the regimental commander and not a squadron commander. Okay, which is fine. I'm okay with regimental commanders, because I gave the standard bearer the regimental flag anyway. And okay, this is the actual metal standard that you get with the eagle that you have to buy separately. And I'll give you a close-up once we get the grass on there. These pennants that were made by me using printer paper, right? I cut about an 8mm strip, and then I cut them to length at about 28mm, somewhere in that neighborhood, and then folded them in half, and then cut little triangles out of the back to get the two-pointed pennant. But before I cut them, I took my ruler and I put a line with an ink pen right down the middle of the pennant, so that when I do the close-up and you look at them, you'll actually see a black line separating the red from the white. How did I get the red? Well, once I glued them as white onto their spears, or lances, I went ahead and painted the top half, and just that just seemed very good. And believe it or not, with that line cutting the middle, it made it a lot easier for me to paint a straight line. Finally, these spears are not those metal spears that you get from Front Rank, these standard steel. These are actually plastic. Where did I get them? I got them from my Macedonian pikemen. When you get Warlord Macedonians, I think you get like 4 pikemen on a sprue, but you get like 6 pikes. So I've got a box up there, and I save everything. I've got a box of just pikes up there. Well, they've got like arms attached to them and stuff like that. So what I did was I calculated how long 9 feet would be, and I cut the spear down to 9 feet, because those are supposed to be 9-foot spears, or 9-foot pikes, lances, I guess. They come with spearheads, pike heads, and once you cut them down to 9 feet, you lose the arms that were attached to them, holding them up or whatever, and so just glued them in the hands. Boom, they're ready-made lances. Loved it. Okay, and you'll get to see a close-up of those as well. Okay, so what that really means for me is, in addition to that, what that means for me is I've got, I don't know, if I were to count, I probably got like 50 of these things, of those metal standards, because every time I buy a Front Rank command element, it comes with the standards, and standard poles, and every time I buy a regiment, it comes with the required number of standard poles, and I tend not to use them. I tend to use the brass spears or pikes from Warlord. They're easier to cut down to the proper length, and they already have the spear tip head. Now I do have to use them for the French standards because of the eagles, if I don't already have eagles. Yeah, so that's how those guys are going together, and you'll get to see these guys up close. They look really good. I'm very impressed with them. I had a little bit of a faux pas last night, because before I started putting any of these, before I put this flag on, I sprayed them with a clear coat, a Krylon flat crystal clear. I left them outside to dry. When I went outside to check them out, they were all white. The crystal clear had fogged up. So luckily I caught it in time, where I grabbed my I guess it's Rust-Oleum. I just grabbed whatever was available. I grabbed my Rust-Oleum True Flat, and I sprayed them again. If you spray it soon enough, or actually I think you can spray it at any point, but I haven't experimented. I'm going to, because this has like a white fog on his hat, and on the tail of his horse, so I might spray that again. If you spray it, everything will turn back to being clear again, and then allow that clear coat to dry in a low humidity area, because I didn't realize it when I realized it, but I didn't really think it would affect it. It had rained the night before, and it was humid outside, and when I put when I let the figures dry out in the humid air, the humidity gets soaked into the paint and it turns it white. So when I sprayed it a second time, I carried it into the house, left it on the table, and then it dried nicely, except for this one model right here, and maybe a little bit on this guy over here, because the house is air conditioned, and there's no humidity inside the house, or at least way lower than it is outside because of the rain. Okay, there's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Oh, let me grab the wood. Be right back. All right. Okay, so this is how I do the limbers, right? I've got like a British limber here. These are British light horses. I got these separately from like I think these are Perry. You can buy these the horses themselves on sprues, and then I just mounted them on a base, which it's just a certain measurement of base. But here we go. Flip that around. You know, my artillery is mounted 60 by 80, right? And this is just over 60. It's probably about 65 wide, which is okay. That's fine. And then the length is 135. If I was to go with inches, you're looking at 2.5 inches by 5, and I don't know what that is. I don't want to mess that up, but 5 and 5/16, just over 5.5. And I feel that that's a good size for a limber, because I put the artillery piece behind the limber, and it makes a good length for when you're moving your artillery around. Well, I found this pack from Wooden Crew. Wooden Crew makes a variety of different wooden things, but these are unfinished wood plaques. Okay, it says 26. I thought when I bought it said 25, but that's okay if I get one extra. And it looks like it's in a Ziploc. We're going to get into that in just a second. But these are, this is a wooden plaque that I would, that you would normally at the office put a piece of, where you'd put a, like a nameplate or something like that on it, and you'd put it on a table, and it comes with these little L-shaped brackets so that your nameplate will sit up on the table. Here, let me open this up and kind of show what I'm talking about. Interesting. Okay. Don't know what that was all about. I don't want to cut with a knife because I don't want to cut into the Ziploc. I don't know where the packaging stops and the Ziploc starts. Even though I probably have 100 Ziplocs that even if I cut it, I can... Ah, here we go. I found an outer edge. But this was fairly inexpensive, right? I get 25, even though it just on the package says 26. 25 bases, $10, something like that. I don't know. It was just, it seemed pretty low. Oh, okay. The packaging is the Ziploc. It was just the tape. Okay, that's fine. I just want to pull one of these out. Okay, this is plywood. It looks like it was laser cut. I can see little nubs where someone had popped it out of a larger piece of wood. And if I was to compare it, it is a little bit longer and a little bit more narrow. But I was struggling finding the exact size of this wood. I couldn't find it anywhere. .55, which is a little bit more narrow than my artillery. My artillery is 60, remember, so 55 seems reasonable. And the length is almost 14, which is also super close to this, and I think that I think I like the narrow anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to show you. It comes with these little brackets where you can set your nameplate up like that, and you know, if you got, it's Mr. Everything, or it's John the janitor, or whatever, you know. Yeah, and this was awesome, I thought. And there's, am I ever going to use those? Probably not ever. So my point was, I thought I needed, or I think I need at least 10 per army, probably more than that. Probably 12 per army. So 25 seemed like a reasonable amount. Now the big issue with this many limbers is finding enough limber models, right? So I'm actually debating in my mind of minds of not making limbers like this. I mean, this is nice, and I could have a few of these out there on the table. I've got 3 French and 3 British, and I've got some wagons and stuff like that I would use as like alternatives to limbers, but because they're all on the same size base. But I was actually thinking about just painting this green and then putting the word limbered on there, and then maybe on the other side saying unlimbered, right? And then or not even doing that, just put limbered on there, and then just providing a stack of these on the side of the table for the Allies, and a stack for the Prussians, and a stack for the French. And whenever their cavalry or artillery goes into a limbered state, they can just put that down as a token that would indicate that that artillery battery is limbered up. And then but there wouldn't actually be any models on it. Now, I've also thought about just putting 1 horse on there, maybe in the upper, maybe in the front left, kind of like where a limber would be, you know, or maybe just put a horse dead center, just to make it easier to pick that up, you know. But I also thought about putting flock and grass and stuff like that on there. But I don't want to do that in case I ever decide that I want to actually build a model and put a limber on that. Because if I do, and it's just painted green with the word limber, I could always just glue on top of that. So I think that's the, and then I could also, my mind just thinking craziness, I could also color code it, you know, like make some red ones for the British or blue ones for the French, or I could just make them a crazy color like purple. No, I guess I would use purple for Prussians. I would use like orange for Nassau and stuff like that. But what if I just make them a universal color that all nations can use, like green, and make it, or tan, make it in such a way that it kind of blends in with the table. But I don't want that. I don't want it to blend in with the table. I want it to be like bright red, you know, or yellow even, you know. Make it some crazy color that when you put it on the table, you know, hey, that unit is limbered, and without actually seeing the limbered models. I don't know. I'm thinking. What do you guys think? You guys got any comments about that? I also have this American War of Independence, but this is like something like this that I would use as a limber token. But and you can see these horses have yokes on them. This is a wagon, and with 2 horses. Now they're not glued together or anything. I just put one in front of the other to give the impression that there's 2 horses pulling this wagon. But there doesn't have to be. This could be the entire wagon. I don't need to have that second horse, because look how big these tokens are. There would be no way for me to put this wagon on a token this size. That's why it's on this giant board. But I could easily put it on, you know, 1 horse and wagon, and maybe the what do you call it? The handler. On on a token like this. Then I could have a wagon and a horse on a token this size, which keeps everything universal, and I don't have a bunch of variety of different token sizes out on the table. All right, now one more thing. Before we move on to maybe deflocking this and putting some grass and stuff on there. My American War of Independence. Okay, that's these guys right here. I went through I have a bag of Germanics from Front Rank, right? And I ordered some American War of Independence. I ordered quite a bit actually, and these would all go up on the store. Okay, I got a couple of comments. Let's see what they say. I would just put a marker next to the artillery piece. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Paint one side red to represent limbered and the other side yellow to represent unlimbered. That way it's easy to tell from across the table. That's a good idea too. The way the limbered tokens work in black powder though is or the way they recommend it, because there's really no real set way to do it, but the way they recommend it is you've got your artillery piece on the table, unlimbered, ready to fire, and it's only about the size of one of these cav bases, and then you put the limber itself on a base within 6 inches of it, somewhere behind it, right? And so it's obvious that they're not connected, they're not in a straight line. It's basically behind it. And that's an easy way to identify that it's unlimbered. And then when you go to limber, it doesn't matter where the token is on the table, because you just pick it up, you put it where the cannon is, and then you put the cannon behind the limber facing the opposite direction. And then you just move the whole thing around. So color coding, it's not really that important, I don't think. I think I can just paint it a bright color and then move it, or just take it off the table, because it doesn't really occupy any space. It's just there as a marker. What do we got here? Wog. Oh, it must be a 40k player. But okay. I would use a much smaller token, like a disorder token. The issue with the okay, let me get an artillery piece and kind of show you what I'm talking about. This can actually be moved. Hopefully this doesn't mess anything up. Okay. And hopefully you guys can see this on the camera, because I know it's kind of messing up on me right now. All right, there we go. Okay, so this is the artillery piece, or these would be artillery pieces on the battlefield, right? And they'd be firing bang, 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 right? Okay, great. And you're thinking, what your suggestion is just to use a small token to place it next to it, in front of it, behind it, to represent that it's limbered up, right? Okay. That's not the plan. That's not the way it is intended. It's intended to have a limber occupying space. It increases the size of your base almost threefold. So this really only represents like 6 to 8 guns lined up right there firing, you know, like the 60 millimeters. Imagine every 10 millimeters is like a gun going, right? Because this is not a man-to-man game. This is a battery of guns. Okay, so when the battery limbers up and they attach to their horses and they get ready for march, it is a march column, and the guns are no longer side by side. They're now one in front of the other in what's, you know, like a march column, or even two side by side in a march column. And because there's a gap between the guns and the horses and the next gun in front and any caissons they might be carrying or support train or whatever, there should be a longer line of troops. And so when you go to mount your limber, okay, so you got your gun, bang, 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 you come up here and you put the limber in the place of where the gun was, and then you take the gun, turn it backwards, and you put it in the back of the limber. And now you'll notice that this artillery march column has grown, right? It's become a monstrosity on the battlefield, right? It's to represent that now the guns are in a march column. But I find that, and you can see this being the normal gun size, that this limber might be just a little bit too wide, and yeah, it worked perfect, but it just maybe just a little bit too wide, in my opinion. If it was like this, I think that would be better. I don't know. That's a little bit more narrow, and I accept that better. For one thing, it'll fit on the roads better, because my roads are like 2 inches wide, right? So, yeah, that's 2 1/4. So, yeah, so that'll be much better. Yeah. So the limber token is going to be this size because of the fact that it is turned into a march column, basically. Now, as an alternative, and this is another thing, if you guys can bear with me, I thought about making this about 80 millimeters larger. I know that Perry and Renedra, because Perry sells the Renedra limbers, they're like 210 millimeters long, right? So 210 is from the backside of this black marker all the way up to here, right? So the end of this cannon to the end of that table is the Renedra limber, and look at that. Together with these two, it winds up being 220, which I'm okay with that. That's perfect. But the issue with their limbers are that you would put the gun behind the limber, and now you got a limber this long. That's just too long for me on the table. That's just way too long. But that's also with like four horse limbers. But I think, and this is just me evaluating it, I think their intention is to build the limber with the gun on the back and take these crew off and put them on horses or on the back sitting down and make that one large model, and then you would take your limber and gun off the table and you would put your gun in its place with the crew, and this would come off the table, and then when this gun limbers up, this whole thing would come back onto the table, and then this would go off the table. And that's why their limber piece is so long, because I think they intend for you to include your gun. And when you go to the Perry website and you go to order a limber, it includes the gun and the crew mounting the horses. So I get that. I get it as a one solid piece. But to kind of cut corners and to eliminate that need, I go with a shorter piece of wood and leave the actual combat piece on the table. It's just the guys are facing backwards. You know, it might look a little weird. They're not on the horses. They're not riding. Now, my point was, I found some wood, like you saw on that wagon. I found some wood that's really long, you know, the 210 millimeter ones. And what I thought about doing was putting the limber and their horses in the front portion of that wood, and the wood would stick out past the limber like that. And then when you go to limber, you just put your cannon on top of that piece of wood, and that way it still moves around as one piece. And then you can take this off and then move that off to the side somewhere. I thought about it for a second, and then I said, no, I'm going to go with a gun and a limber. And then when the gun's deployed, if there's a limber, I can deploy it somewhere within 6 inches behind the gun. And then when it goes to limber, you know, you just replace that and you just put that there and bam, it's limbered. I don't know if that helps or not. All right, let's go to the next step. Okay, as you know, last Wednesday, I received my French horse artillery. Well, when I went and I got excited about it, I was like, oh, I got French horse artillery. I'll be able to finish out my French because all I need is 2 horse artillery pieces. And then I looked at it. I looked deep in the pack and I said, oh, wait, this doesn't look right. I looked at the number on the pack and the number I ordered, and it was not what I ordered. It was early war Grubeval or something, 8-pounders, and I wanted 6-pound horse artillery, and it was off. So I contacted Front Rank. I said, hey, you know, what's up? And they said, no problem, we'll fix it. Right? So I got that response within 1 day. I was super happy about that. I was like, wow, okay, cool. You guys are awesome. And I'm waiting for that. But again, that was only last week. So normally it takes about a week for me to get a package. So it might be here any day now. But yeah, they said, oh, and another thing, there was only 7 crew members, 2 guns and 7 crew, and 7 crew. You're supposed to have 8 crew. I mean, I could have probably taken an infantry officer or something like that and just put it, but it wouldn't look right. It wouldn't be right. And it's not right. I paid for the 8 crew. I should get the 8 crew. So, and I should get the 6-pounders that I ordered and the actual uniforms that I ordered. So they're gonna get that fixed up, and that's just, Front Rank has done me right. I'm gonna have to say Front Rank is my favorite model company. Okay, having said that, I'm getting ready to do those guys right there, right? I'm getting ready to do those today. The Herb Prince, or the Prince unit, right? And formerly known as the Symbol. Okay, my mind is going a million different directions, so let me go over. You can see in this picture what I'm getting ready to talk about. I got a number of different sources that talk about their uniform. And they all have something different to say, which is good because that I can piece all that together and I can say, okay, so they have this and they have this and they have this. But there was a common theme throughout that, all those different documents, that they were issued red turnbacks like that musketeer there. That musketeer and the sergeant or whoever that is in the background, those guys all... No, I guess that's a sergeant up front. Is that an officer up front? I don't know. But the musketeers had red, and then some sources say, through pictures of uniforms that were rescued or saved over time in the museums and stuff like that, that they're actually pink. Come on. You know that they were red. You know, everybody knows that, or not everybody. My thought process is, and this is just me thinking out loud, I bet you they were issued red turnbacks. And throughout time, through the sun, through fighting in the field, over the 100 years, 200 years, 250 years, that the red has faded and it looks pink now. That's my belief. And so this is what I plan to do. They also said that some sources say that they were issued with pink. And then some sources say they were issued with red. Okay, so, and this is from the time period saying that they were supposed to be pink. So my guess is, because they weren't, let's say they weren't the richest, so maybe some of their companies were red and some of their companies were pink. That's possible. It also could mean that only the senior staff were pink, like the officer and the sergeant and the grenadier in the background was pink, and then the center companies were red. That's possible. So when I get to painting, I'm either going to paint pinks or reds or, I don't know, probably mostly red with some elements in there being pink. Okay. Now, the reason why I chose that unit was I have a limited selection of flags, and I wanted to do a unit that I had the flags for, and it's going up for sale. These are going to be for sale. But I was going to do spec, a Brunswick unit that fought at Saratoga, Freeman's Farm and stuff like that, right? So I was going to do spec. And I was like, okay, let's do spec. Well, I've got some cotton gym flags for spec, but I only have one. And it's the unit color and not it's the second color, not the first color. And I was like, oh, I only got one from cotton gym? Okay, no problem. Let's look at GMB. Okay, good. Boom, GMB. I got spec. GMB, I love them. The quality of their flags are excellent, but they're wrong. Because I looked at this, and the whole Saratoga group of flags are incorrect. They have the number 1 flag double printed. So you've got number 1 and number 1. The Brunswickers normally would have a flag like that, right? And it would be a main color like red, these Prince guys, and then it's got like this blue cross, right? Okay. The other flag would be blue with red crosses or something. It would be, they reverse the colors from 1 to 2. The GMB flags aren't reversed. They're duplicated. They're both exactly the same. So it's great if I was making 2 spec units, but I still need to get the reversed colors. So I can't use the GMB flags. And half, if not all of my GMB flags are wrong. Well, there's probably a couple that are right. The Canapsushin or whatever, Canaphasians or whatever, the Canaphasians. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They are correct. But the other ones are not correct. So I'm gonna write GMB and say, hey, did you know these flags are incorrect? And maybe he'll send me a letter back saying, no, this is why it is correct, because spec, they carry 2 of the same flag or something like that. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. But all the documents I've read said that their flags should be reversed. Cotton Gym has these 2 flags for the prince. And so, Prince or whatever, Herb Prince or whatever, there's those guys. And I'm like, hold on, what am I doing? Cotton Jim, come on, man. He took a shortcut. Oh my gosh. This is wrong too. But you know what? I'm going to use these because damn it, I'm going to use them. But I'm looking at them and I'm like, this is not correct. Okay, you know how I know? Because I can read English. Or not English, it's German, but you got the letters right there. Vesgat purse. Okay, great. Up here, Vesgat purse. Perfect. Okay, they're right. But then on the other side, it's mirror imaged. Vesgat purse. And then the same thing over here, Vesgat purse. It's almost like the thread went all the way through. You can't read it on both sides. It would be the thread went through and it's reversed. I'm going to have to see if that's correct. But either way, I'm going to use these flags anyway. But it looks like he just took that image of the flag and folded it over, turned it upside down and put it there. Because, you know, the dog or whatever that creature is facing inward. So he took it and reversed it, and the words got reversed as well. But maybe it's supposed to be that way. Maybe it is supposed to be the threads going through the flag. But, okay, we'll figure that out. Okay, before I get into doing my Germans, let's go ahead and move on to the next step of the gravelly gravel that I'm doing. The gravelly gravel. I put this over here to give me a spill so it doesn't get in my glue that I've got sitting over here. And then I tuck. There we go. Tuck. Okay, I didn't really need to tuck that side, but there we are. Now I use a mop brush is what this is called. It's like, what do they call it? 3/4 inch mop. It's super soft, man. Okay. Then I take any one of these guys. Let's take this guy. The 6th Lancers, which is part of the 2nd Cavalry Division, which is part of the 2nd Corps under Real, who fought at Quatre Bras. Okay, hold him, save him for last. Now I let it sit for a little while because Wow, it's already been over an hour. It's okay. We might have an extended episode today because I'm home all alone and I don't really have anybody to talk to. No. Okay, so actually I could put them here. I just have a lot to do today, and I said, why not just put it on camera? Doesn't hurt anything. I basically am just knocking the gravel off. Okay, and then I use the mop if I see any gravel like sticking to their boots or anything, which I don't. Now on this one you might notice when I take a GMB flag, it usually has a label on the paper that says what unit it is for that flag. And I will actually cut that out and save it and glue that on the bottom. I don't know, the glare is like, I don't know. There's glare. But yeah, 6th Lancers, 2nd Brigade, 2nd Cavalry Division, Pyre, 2nd Corps, 1815. That's a lot of information on a GMB flag. GMB is normally good. I'm just upset with their Brunswick flags. They're incorrect. So I'm going to have to let them know. Okay, so all the grabs back on here. Put that off to the side. Okay, we're using Army Painter's Battlefield Grass Green. It is kind of a sawdusty looking style flock. It's not static grass. I actually have moved away from anything static grass. I really don't like that. I don't like static grass. Okay, we're going to put some Elmers back in my palette here. What we're going to do is add water. Quite a bit of water. I'm using the weight of the models to press against all these boxes so that they are pushed together tightly. Usually I stick it out here. I take the same brush I used earlier. I let it soak in the water so that the Elmers wouldn't dry and stiffen the bristles. Now I'm stirring the Elmers and the water together to give it a mixture, a mix. 50-50 is pretty good. I know there's people out there that use different mixtures, but I use no water in the initial gravel, and then I use a 50-50 mixture with the flock. Now I look at the base top down and I look for spots that I think the under base or the wood or whatever the wood might be painted at the time, because sometimes I'll paint the wood green or brown or whatever. If that is shining through the gravel, that tells me the gravel is thin in that area, and that's where I will put some paint. I'm sorry, I will paint some of this Elmer's glue there so that the grass will disguise the gap in the paint. And I always try to hit the figure base, maybe a little overlap from the wood base gravel and the figure base gravel. I have like a little bit of a overlap. Now there is another color that I like really good, and I put it in an Army Painter grass green container just to make it easier for me to grab and sprinkle like what I'm doing now. But foreground makes this kind of a burnt grass color. It's kind of a brown mixture. It's got a lot of different colors in it. It really looks good. It's just a little pricey, in my opinion. Now I do, if you notice, this is something that you might not have noticed with the gravel, but in this case, once I put the grass on, I shake it off immediately because I don't need it to soak into the glue. And again, we'll get a close-up later showing what these guys look like once they're fully finished. And this is the opportunity, the second coat of, going from gravel to grass. This is the opportunity to fill in or cover up any mistakes that you might have made with, oh, there's some lichen on there. Interesting. I know that I've got a few little pieces of lichen in the gravel. Very few. Oh, there's like a very thin gravel here. Gonna make sure that's covered in grass. Okay, I can see the base there. And we make sure that there's a little overlap from the base to the base of the figure to the base of the unit. It's almost like a little hand holding everything down. Now you might notice that there are a number of rocks on this one. I call them rocks, but really it's just talus. They represent rocks. They are the size of rocks at this scale. Stones, if you would. I put grass around them. I don't put the grass on top of the stones, or try not to. But I do push the glue up to the stone to so it'll, for two reasons. It'll make the grass look like it's growing right next to the rock, but also it will grab the rock and give a little extra adherence to your base. And I sprinkle the flockage all over the glue. Now this is the first tap. There will be a second tap once everything dries, because there's always that little bit of extra grass that just doesn't want to stick. Okay, I can actually see wood, like there was maybe a rock there, and when I shook it off, it didn't stick to any glue, so it just left a big hole. That's okay, I just fill it with grass. Or I will be filling it with grass. And I try to go evenly in various places over the base so that I'm not putting too much grass in one area and not enough in another area. Now, sometimes I'll use like clump foliage or flowers or something, or just grass tufts that you can get. Specifically the ones from Army Painter, they're pretty good, and you can put them on there. But I'm not doing that for this project right here. And this right here, this unit actually finishes all 4 regiments for Pyre's Cavalry Division. This is the last Lancers. I have 2 Chasseurs, and now I will have 2 Lancer regiments. I think they're the 5th and the 6th. Now, also, when you're putting your gravel on, okay, that needs more Elmers. Not a whole lot, because I've only got 1 base left to do. And more water, because it's supposed to be a 50-50 mix. Doesn't have to be. It could be any, you know, you can have no mix if you want. I just find that there's no need to have anything stronger than 50-50. Because you're only holding flock on. It's not like you're trying to glue a building together or a wooden, you know, or gluing terrain together. I'm just putting a flock on. But what I was going to say is, like, these models specifically are heavy. Heavy as hell. They are literally, they weigh a ton. Okay, maybe not literally, but they are heavy. Heavy metal. Yeah, and these, because of that, you got to let your gravel dry before you start picking up the model. Because what'll happen is you'll pick up one of the figures and it'll just pull off of the base. Because I initially glued everything down with Elmers, and then when I added a layer of Elmers for the gravel, it will weaken your initial glue, because water will, what do they call it, cause your other Elmers to also turn back to being liquid. So you got to let the second coat dry before you pick anything up, or you'll get a you'll have to redo the base altogether. And that sucks. Or just be extremely careful, because you know I tend to try to be extremely careful even if I give it time to dry. Okay, so now I'm going to let those guys dry just a bit, not very long. It doesn't, because I shook the grass off and I'm not letting it like soak into the glue, it'll actually dry in 10 minutes probably. It'll be dry. Okay, and I take my mop, clean off the edge of my tub here, back into this. Try to save as much of the grass as possible. And you can kind of see the difference between the grass green and this other color. This other color, it's more brown. I don't know if the lighting helps or hurts. Yeah, that's good right there. That's good. Okay. All right, so we're going to set that off to the side. All right, now let's talk about this American War of Independence unit I'm doing. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, these are the guys. This morning, before I turned on the camera, I had gone through my different units and tried to figure out what I wanted to do next and on camera for you guys. And I was going to do some English, or, well, basically some 100 Years War. I was going to do some 100 Years War knights with lances. And, okay, we got some more chats. I'm going to jump in there real quick. You have a large orc army, but shifted my focus to 172nd scale Napoleonics. I have a French army for 1812. Okay. Hey, Wog. I actually did a 172nd scale army, well, battle. I did a 172nd scale Waterloo using Napoleon's battles. So there was about 24 figures represented a brigade. So 2 brigades would be like a French division. So, and I did the entire Waterloo, both Prussians, French, Nassau, British, Brunswickers, basically the entire thing in 172nd. And, but 172nd, and then I played it at a convention, and I realized at that time that it took up way too much space on the table, right? To do the entire Battle of Waterloo in 172nd using brigades. So I switched to 15 millimeter, and then I was able to do the, basically Napoleon's battles felt like 15 millimeter was the scale it was designed for, and I think it was actually. But then recently I switched to 28 millimeter at a smaller scale. So like units are now battalions. And I like that better. I don't know. I just feel like Napoleon's battles, it was too, what's the word I'm looking for? It's too scaled up to where I was Napoleon or I was Wellington controlling my entire army. And it just felt disconnected, if that's the word I wanted to use. But when I zoom in and I'm playing a corps or even just a division with multiple battalions and 2 brigades, I feel that's really more my speed, you know. And so I found black powder, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a rule that's a rule system I want to use. Plus, I can do American War of Independence and Napoleonics. And if I really wanted to, I could play other periods using the same rules. I said, I'm in, you know. So I went to black powder, and I'm doing 28 millimeter. Okay, so I have a friend that plays 172nd exclusively. He's got a table, he's got a garage, and then above his garage is a finished attic, basically. The attic above his garage is, it's like a bonus room. It's huge because, you know, the garage is underneath. And he built from scratch his own table, and it's like 8 feet wide by, I think it's, let me do some math here. 8 feet wide. I think it's wider than that, though. I think he made it wide. Okay, 8 feet wide by 16 feet long or something like that. It's really big, his table. And he built it in sections where he could take a section down and store it underneath the table or whatever. He made it so that, you know, he can scale the size of his table because he likes doing naval battles and he likes Napoleon's battles, but he doesn't want to play it in 15 millimeter. he wanted to play it in 1/72nd. So he took all the measurements and multiplied it by 1.5 because he figured that 28 millimeter is too close to 30, and that is double the scale of 15s. So instead of 2 times, he went with 20 millimeter, which is your 1/72nd, which gets him about 1.5. That's the way he's doing it. So he took all the measurements from the rule book and everything else and used 1.5. And whenever we go over there and play Napoleon's battles, we play in 1/72nd, and he's got armies out the wazoo. He's got I don't think he's got very many British, to be honest, but he has like Austrians and Russians and Prussians and French and some minor countries like Bavaria and stuff like that. So I even painted up a unit for him for Christmas one year. I said, you know what, I'm going to do him a solid. I took a unit, painted it up, presented it to him. You know, that was pretty cool. 1/72nd scale, because I was in 1/72nd scale myself. I even did World War II in 1/72nd for a long time. I played Command Decision in 1/72nd, you know, where 2 figures on a base was considered a platoon, and it was also like an army scale unit, army scale game where you zoom out and you're moving divisions around, but a stand was only a platoon. So you drive a tank into a town. That was a platoon of tanks that drove into a town. I played that for a long time. I really loved Command Decision. I still love it. I still love Command Decision, but I think they ruined it with the new Test of Battle or whatever it's called, the new Command Decision. I don't know. And plus the whole 1/72nd scale thing. You can find pretty much nowadays. Back then, when I was playing 1/72nd, it was hard to find the right type of troops. So what I would do would be I'd get the closest model to the uniform, and then I would paint it up like the proper uniform, but it would still not be correct, you know. But nowadays, like with Hat and a bunch of other 1/72nd scale companies out there, you can really find pretty much anything nowadays. I'm happy about that, but I don't do 1/72nd. Okay, what do we got going on here? What's next? Hey, person. Hey, you're a person. That's cool. Hey, hello. I'm a person. Okay, so these guys, yeah, these guys are front rank. When I took these guys out of the package, I was like, oh, front rank, yay! But then when I'm looking at them closely, I don't think these are front rank. This is AWB. I think that's a front rank code, actually. But my point is, this doesn't look like a front rank infantry figure. I've got a ton of front rank Napoleonics, but they're American War of Independence. I thought they looked a little bit different than this. This reminds me of Old Glory. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, this looks like an Old Glory model. Because I've got a bunch of Old Glory American War of Independence stored away that I plan to bust out and paint at some point. And I did like the entire battle of Freeman's Farm in 28 millimeter using Old Glory. This guy's got a mustache. Well, he's supposed to. He's German, right? Okay, well, it's kind of unusual because it has 1 officer, there's 2 drummers, and 2 standard bearers. So when I saw the 2 standard bearers in the pack, I was like, oh, okay, so I need, and here they are, I need 2 standards. And that's what got me into because I was going to do spec. That's when I realized, you know, I did a little backstory research on those and realized, okay, I needed 2 flags. But having 2 drummers, I don't think I need 2 drummers. I could go to my Old Glory figures and pull one of those out, but I'm not going to do that. Now these guys have got pom-poms on the top of their tricorn. Oh, that's weird. And this guy's got his hair, which is long all the way down to his ass. That's cool. Yeah, this guy too. Okay, well, I don't have any Jaegers or any. These are all musketeers, but they don't look like. Well, first of all, they don't have the rounded base that front rank has. Right? Front rank's all rounded bases. Yeah. Okay, hang on. Excuse me. Okay, now these bases definitely look different. These guys look like front rank. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to pull these out of the package, but these guys are front rank. And these are Continentals. Okay, I'm just going to see if we can focus on one of these. This camera just has too much glare on it. I guess I could turn my light off, but I don't want to do that. Maybe if I do this. Maybe if I point it in a different direction. Maybe there's a little less glare, or I don't know. Okay, I'm specifically looking at this one figure right here. Let's get this microphone out of the way. Okay. Okay. And then that's just a Continental guy, you know, just chilling. I'm going to take one of these figures here, and you can see the base, how it's much different. The height's the same, but the front rank models that I got on my Napoleonics and this guy are chunky monkeys. Where these guys seem a little thinner, like Perry or Old Glory. They still look good, don't get me wrong. They're still pretty damn awesome. The height and everything is the same. I just have a feeling, I don't know this for a fact, but I have a feeling that Old Glory, or I should say Front Rank, purchased some molds from maybe another company. And they're producing miniatures using those molds. I could be wrong. I don't know. Or maybe when they were making these models, they realized, you know, they didn't need to make their bases as big. Okay, now who is this guy? He's standing in a weird cocked position, and his coat is different. Okay, doesn't matter. That's the point I was trying to make. These guys just seem to be a little bit off. A little bit. They seem like they're not traditional front rank models, in my opinion. Okay, so we're gonna take, maybe not that one. Maybe this one? Yeah, this one looks good. Okay, I buy 3M tape. Dan, what are you saying? I don't think those are front rank. Yeah, I know, right? But I bought them from Front Rank. They came in a bag just like this with the Front Rank logo on it. Nope, that's 100 Years of War. Okay, what about these guys? That's my Lancers. No, look into my trash. Okay, that's G&D. Line Lancers, 100 Years War. Maybe their packaging is still up there, but it came in a bag just like this. Had the little thing on there, Front Rank. So yeah, I just have a feeling that they were selling them or bought their molds or something. I don't know. They still look good. I'm going with it. All right. You know, and they came with these rods for standards, and these rods, these things are indestructible. And I've got these metal clippers to clip them down to size, and it damages my clippers every time I try to cut one of these things. So I don't know. Okay, so I've got this 3M double-sided foam tape. This was one of the biggest discoveries of my life, because what I normally had done in the past would be I would take and you can probably see the marks on here, where I would take a popsicle stick and I would put a drop of Elmer's glue on there, and I would put the figures on there and let the glue dry. Took time, then painted them, and then I'd go in and I'd pop them off, and then I would have to go back over with an X-Acto knife and scrape off any of the excess glue that was still stuck on the thing so that I could use it for the next model. And that whole process took time and effort, where this double-sided tape is like the best discovery in the world. Now there's 24 models here, and a model I could probably use about 1 centimeter for the base, but it is just, and especially like on the standard bearer, he's not bigger than 1 centimeter. But some of these guys, the drummer, he's like 15 millimeter, 12 millimeter, something like that. Okay, so I could go just a little bit more than 10 millimeters, and that's what I'm planning on doing. So I stick it along here, and normally I could just cut it off at 24 and then just go with it. Okay, hold on, how wide is this? Oh, it's wide enough. I can go 10 centimeters. Okay, perfect. We're just going to do that. I'm going to cut it off at 24. Put that away. And then I'm going to cut 10 centimeter strips. Okay, give me a second while I get these all cut. I think this is the 1/2 inch. Yeah, the 1/2 inch roll. Which I got the 1/2 inch roll because I said that's all I need. But I learned that I could buy the inch roll for the same cost, or close enough to the same cost. And then I could roll out an inch on here, and then I could just cut it in half myself. So I think buying the thicker or the wider tape is actually more cost efficient, because you can cut it yourself. Okay, once you get it cut, get your popsicle stick out, and then what I do is I just peel it off and I stick it on the popsicle stick. Oh, look how hard that was. Okay. I put one on both ends. Spacing appropriately for 4 figures, because I like to paint with 4 figures per popsicle stick. These rolls, you know, you can get like 100 feet or something like that. It's super long. This would have been 24, centimeters? I don't know. What is that, 8 inches? Yeah, 24, like 100 feet for like $10 or something. It's super cheap, in my opinion. It's probably more expensive than the Elmer's drops that I would use in the past. But the time that it saves is worth the extra cost. But still, $10 for 100 feet, or $1 for 10 feet or something, whatever the cost is crazy worth it when it comes to the amount of time that I save. So I don't have to drop it, and plus I save a little bit on Elmer's glue, not a whole lot, but the time waiting for it to dry and the time cleaning the sticks off when I'm done. Okay. There was still some cavalry stuff left. All right, we got 10 minutes to hit an hour, but guess what? We're not gonna stop at an hour. I'm gonna keep going until I get these guys at least mounted, and I have a chance to show you what those guys look like up close. Okay, I got a little bit of sniffles. I don't know where that came from. Okay, let's save that just in case. All right, so we get this out of the way. Okay, so we get my trash can. Beneath me, and my X-Acto knife and my figures. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm flattening the bases. I did already wash these. And now I'm just going through looking for any sprue. Anything that's not supposed to be there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Like this guy. All right, so this might be a little time consuming. I'm going to try to get this out of the way quickly. Flatten the base. Look at their saber sheath. Make sure their muskets don't have a lot of flash or anything on them. A lot of times haversacks will have like a little string hanging off of them, or the cartridge box. Well, I don't see, and you know what? I don't see any mold lines. Maybe these are front rank. Front rank usually doesn't have very many mold lines. Or they could be Perry, I guess. Perry's also really good at that. Okay, the knives. Okay. Now, a lot of times, like, I like to put them on 4 per painting stick. I call it a painting stick. And I try to put them the way I would base them. So I try to put all the elite companies together. I try to put like the command stand together, the center companies, stuff like that. But sometimes I will go to paint the figures, and then I'll be like, why does this guy have an epaulet? Or why does this guy have stripes on his arm? You know, it'll be like, because I'll have, I don't know, more of an attention to detail while I'm painting. And then I'll be like, oh, this is a center company guy, and I put him over in the wrong base. Now, I could move them around, but usually after I prime them, I don't like moving them because the double-sided tape will have paint on it. Okay, like this guy, he's got a long jacket on. Okay, he's got a sash on. This guy must be also an officer or a sergeant or something. But he's got a coat on. Okay, because here's an officer with a sword in his hand. Or no, not even a sword. It's a cane. That's cool. Walking stick. Okay. So last week I set up a poll on the website on YouTube, and the question was do you do more rank and file? Are you working on any projects? Are they rank and file, or are they skirmish based? Like, are they individually based, or are they mounted multiples per stand? And I got like a 55-45, about probably even lower than that. But it was real close. It was real close. It was close to like 55% of you said you do rank and file games, and about 45% of you said you do skirmish. So to me, that, and there was I don't know, 27 responses or something like that. I'd like to see more responses, but I was actually pleasantly surprised to see 27 responses, because normally my polls go unattended. Like, I'll put a poll on YouTube and nobody even knows it's there, and then it expires or whatever. So at least this time I got like 27 people look at it, and I was like, whoa. And I appreciate all the feedback. Okay, there is a little bit of a line right here on his calf. I appreciate the feedback that you gave me. It tells me that there are more of you out there doing rank and file games like Hail Caesar, Black Powder, Napoleon's Battles, or anything like that uses clumps of troops. Now, I understand that there are some games out there that are hugely popular that are only skirmish, like Bolt Action, or maybe Lion Rampant, which is another game I really like, or Chosen Men, or whatever the other games are or SPQR. Those are single mounted games, but it tells me that most of you are playing rank and file. Not everybody, just most of you. And if that is the case, I'm going to start leaning towards doing more rank and file stuff on my eBay store, because I want to provide okay, now this guy's got a different type of sword. Okay. He might be part of the elite. Okay. Yeah. Okay, he's got the same sword. So maybe I just hadn't gotten to him yet. Okay. So, dang, what am I getting at? Oh, so I'm going to work on doing more rank and file. Like, if you have not seen my 100 Years War, 100 Years War? Yeah, 100 Years War guys on my eBay store, you should check those out. I just did 5 units of 5 small units of men-at-arms, foot men-at-arms, and damn, they look good. They look really good. I'm like, I don't want to sell these. I want to keep them for my own army. But, got to pay the bills. Also, I've noticed that some prices from some websites, miniatures prices are going up. Not crazy high, not like through the roof, but there's enough of an inflation that I need to adjust my prices. And I think I talked about this last week. Let me talk about my store just a second. Let me talk about a comment that I got on my store that it's not negative or anything. It's just give you a little insight of maybe the way I'm going to respond to this guy, because I haven't decided how I want to respond to him, but I do want to kind of share this with you. He made a comment or a message. He messaged me directly saying, I would love to get some painted models from you, but instead of paying you, I would like to trade unpainted models. Okay, so that was the comment. That was the message. I'm not opposed to that idea. That sounds very reasonable and fair. I mean, that's, trade is good. But I'm not going to do it. And this is why. I made an agreement with eBay that I would not sell things on their website. Okay, this is where I got the message. I got the message on eBay, but I will not sell stuff on eBay through a third party. Okay. The reason why is, and I understand this, they're providing me a platform, they're providing me a service, and they want their cut. And I get that. I mean, how else are they going to make money? Well, okay, they're big business, they're making millions. So does that mean I should be able to just circumnavigate my agreement? No. That would be unethical, in my opinion. That's dishonest. I asked you, can I sell on your platform? You said yes, with some limitations. I agreed to those limitations. And now someone is out there trying to circumnavigate, avoid, unscrupulously trying to get me to send him some models, and he will only have to provide me with models. I'm not opposed to that, but the way I was contacted was via the eBay message system. So now, do I do custom work for people? Yes. But if they contact me through eBay, then what I will do is I will post my custom work on my channel or on eBay, so that they can use the eBay payment system to pay me, which does a couple of things. It protects me via the buyer and seller protection. It also, I get the money directly to my account, and eBay gets their percentage cut of any sale that I do. Now, if somebody emails me directly through Google or Yahoo or wherever your email is set up at, and if you send it to maybe my YouTube channel and not eBay, then we can work something out. You know, because at that point, I'm not using the eBay platform to communicate sales. All right, that's that. So I don't want to do it because I have heard, this is another reason, I have heard that eBay will send messages to sellers, catfishing them, basically saying, hey, will you sell me this off of eBay? I can send you the money via PayPal or email, and we can avoid, your sales on eBay or whatever. And as soon as you agree to it, they close your account. So I'm afraid of that. But I'm also not, okay, these two guys are exactly the same. Yeah, okay. I'm afraid of that, but also it's unethical. So I'm not going to do it. Okay, they're all trimmed. Okay, I shake this off because sometimes what do you call it, lead will get down inside the flume of my knife, and so I get all that out. Okay. Now before we start mounting all these, we're going to get these standard bearers. They're standards. These flags are ginormous, which is good. I love ginormous flags. Okay, it looks like I got to cut off about 10 centimeters. Okay. That was exaggerated. One standard. Really? Oh, there it is. 2 standards. Get rid of this. Okay, and this, I would highly recommend this glue if you've never seen this glue before. It's DAP Rapid Fuse. Bonds virtually to Mr. Everything. No, it bonds virtually to everything. It's great for putting together your plastic models and your metal models. I don't know about, I wouldn't use it on wood. It probably works fine. And what I like to do there is close the thumb and forefingers around the standard, give it more of a grip. Whoa, come on now. Actually, I might not have to do that, but the thumb looks like it's out of place, so I want to close the thumb. Yep, that looks good. I know you can't see that. For some reason, this camera's got a little issue with the glare for some reason. I spent some time trying to figure it out, and I couldn't. This camera has no problem at all. I like it. This is the 922 versus a Brio 4K, and the Brio 4K is a little bit... What the hell? I don't know what that was, but grumble, grumble. The reason why I use DAP Rapid Fuse sets in 30 seconds, which I find to be a good advertisement or good marketing or branding or whatever, but in reality, it sets in about 10 seconds. Yep, This guy needs his thumb closed down around that pole. Because his hand is like that. I mean, it's curved and his thumb is sticking way up like this. I need to bend the thumb down a little bit. That's what I'm doing here with my... Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it's a good tight grip. Okay. All right, so we peel the backside of these 3M sticky deals. 3M sticky deal. Take all 4 of those off. Take my standard bearer and I put him and I press down he's never gonna go anywhere till I pull him off. Same thing with this dude. All right, let's do a drummer or two. Where's my other drummer? There you is. There you be. Okay. So now I got my drummers and my 2 standard bearers, and that's not going anywhere. So I sit here and I would paint on these sticks just like this. And then when I'm ready to take this guy off, I just peel him off. Okay, let's set that guy right there. No more gluing. Once I get these glued, I'm going to take them outside and prime them. And then while they're being primed, I'll show you those lancers up close. And then we'll call it quits for the evening. For the afternoon, I mean. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, there's an officer with a cane. It's pretty cool. I'm digging it. Now I push down to make sure he grips the double-sided whatchamadooly. The thingamajig. Okay, now this guy... looks like he could be an officer or an NCO. Probably supposed to be an NCO. He still has a sash though. And he is wearing the gorget, you know, the knightly gorget. So maybe he's the second officer. Because I know front rank likes to put 2 officers in a bag. Now this guy looks fat. Like he's got some meat on his bones. He's also got a mustache, which I would think they would all have mustaches. Just because they're Germans. And that's kind of a status symbol. Let's see how many of these guys there are. Okay, these guys look like they might be my standard troop, because look how many I've got so far. Okay, this guy is different because he has no hat on. Yeah, they don't have any variety in their pose at all. I mean, their heads are all facing exactly the same direction. Their hands are exactly in the same position. Legs are in the same position. They got the same type of gaiters on. Yep, every one of these are exactly the same. Yep, every one of those is exactly the same. There is one guy that's a little different. It's because he has no hat on. It's Mr. No Hat. Okay, I'll put him on this base here with the officers. Just looking at all of their arms, collars, and sleeves, and yeah, I don't see any difference. Okay. Now I think I'm going to prime these guys black. Now I considered priming them blue and working my way up from the blue jacket, or white even, now that I'm looking at them. Priming white might be best. Yeah, because their pants, and the blue is kind of a lighter blue, and red. Yeah, I think I'm going to prime white. Now, one of the books says that, depending on what year it is, the Germans liked striped pants. It doesn't show it in that picture there. But they would white with like red stripes or something like that. And they said they weren't issued those type of pants. They believe that they had those pants made locally from bed linens, especially in the South, because of the heat, which I guess, being from Germany, they wouldn't be used to the heat in South Carolina. I mean, just ask the Walking Dead cast. Okay, I hear the mailman outside. So he might be going the other direction though, because usually around this time of day, he goes one direction on the road, and then like an hour later, he comes back on my side of the road. Yeah, I'm going to prime these guys white. I almost never prime white. Just to let you know, white is it's too hard to work with, in my opinion. What it does is it brings out certain colors go over white very well, like reds and yellows. But some colors do not go over white very well, like metallics and like red, not red, blue. Now, black is kind of the opposite. Like yellows don't like going over blacks. And that's why a lot of times I'll prime in the middle, like I'll prime a gray or the base color of a unit. What? Okay. And then I'll build up, like if I am painting a Jaeger unit, I might prime them hunter green, and that way I can just touch up their uniform as I paint everything else up. Okay, that unit is popsicle sticked, and they will not come off the popsicles. Okay, give me like 2 minutes. what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these outside. I'm going to prime them white, and then I will be back to show off these Lancers, and then we'll close up with some, maybe some channel news, or maybe some of my Waterloo project news. All right, I'll be right back. Or will I? Flat white primer. That looks good. Now, when I prime, I tend to put these guys, I alternate how they are, kind of like that, like checkerboard. So when I go to spray them, you know, everybody gets a chance. Everybody gets a chance to get white, or whatever color I'm using. Yeah, I'm looking at these Continentals. Or no, they're not Continentals. They look like they're British. I'm looking at these British. They have a couple of guys in bearskins. But they also look like those Germans. And yeah, see? On rank. All right, be right back. Alright guys, let me get these guys up and at them so you guys can see what they look like. Up close. I'm just cleaning up a little bit, sorry. All right, so, how am I going to do this? Let's take this camera and adjust. Yep, that looks good. I'm knocking all kinds of things around. Okay. All right, so let's do this. Right. You're like, what's going on, Mr. Everything? Why is that the wrong size? Yeah, and see how fuzzy that is. Bear with me, I'm trying to fix this. Trying to make this happen. Let's go with 60 frames. Whoa. Okay, 1440. Now why is, oh, okay. There we go. Okay, that focus looks good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this camera. This camera is not normally this bad. I have a feeling that there was an update on my Windows or something, and it really messed with graphics or something. Oh, wait a second. There is supposed to be an update on my graphics card, isn't there? Yeah, NVIDIA had a update today. I don't think I did it. Yeah, if I do it, it'll shut off the stream, and I don't want to do that. Okay. I wonder why that looks so fuzzy like that. Is it because I've got the second camera going? I don't think so. Doesn't look like it. Should I change it to frame rate or exposure? I think frame rate is where I should change it. All right, that doesn't look too bad right there. Yep, there you go. Okay, so these are the Lancers that I just finished for the 2nd Division. Couple of things. These spears, I went over this already, but these spears are actually pikes from my Macedonians, and because they come without spears, they come with the standard poles with no spearheads. The musician, I painted him up like a elite company without the epaulets. And there's 2 elite company soldiers right there. They have the red epaulets on their shoulders. Yeah, I'm excited. These guys look pretty good to me. What do you think of the basing? It looks pretty good. You can kind of see the stones. Yeah, you can see how there's like stones around the feet. You know, specifically this one. This one has more stones than anybody, I think. But then again, you got the stones back here. And that's what those are all about in the talus in the dirt. And then you see the grass grows up around it. I try not to put the grass on top of those. And this guy has the label underneath it, you know. It's out of focus, but, you know, you get the idea. All right, so while those guys are drying outside, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to go ahead and get some lunch because it's already 1:40 here. And I appreciate all your comments. Don't forget, I think I still have that forum post up on YouTube where it asks if you're doing skirmish or if you're doing rank and file. And what I'm really concerned about is like because I want to know what people are looking for so that I can tailor my my products on my YouTube store, on my eBay store for what's going on in the world. If you have any specifics that you're looking for or you want me to pursue, let me know. I don't mind catering. I don't really have any topic that I want to go over next week, but I think I might be doing some movement trays. I think that's what I might be doing because I need to do that for my Waterloo project. But I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions, drop me some suggestions. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go.